and Keaton stepped on an IED. It was about 30 meters from my position. A little bit of backstory with that. Even though I was the in charge of the platoon, for that particular sortie, I was kind of ill that day. So I traded places with Keaton, and that that tore me a new one, because the fact that I was supposed to be the point man, and I trade places with Keaton because he knew that I wasn't 100% that day. It was a bug going around the platoon, and tag out was it. I ended up catching that bug a few hours before going on that mission, and within 30 minutes of us switching, he stepped on an ID, and I always felt like that ID had my name on it.
Welcome back to another episode of Ill Ego Culture Brands Red Tape Talk. I'm your host, John Ostos, aka Ill Ego CEO, and I'm here with my two counterparts, Dion, Two Cup Larry, and Cody, Big Meat Mauk. And today we have another special guest on our show. We're gonna let Big Meat do the introduction.
Yeah, so we had another guest of from the West Fargo Police Department, your Assistant Chief Jason Anderson, and he brought you up. He said that you would be an interesting person to talk to about your experience, and so I kept bugging him. I was like, "When is he coming? When is he coming?" And he's like, "Well, just wait, pump the brakes, let him get trained in here first." And then some time went by, and I was like, "All right, I guess I'm not going to get this guy on." But then one of the guys in my office that works with me said that there was a new SRO at Cheyenne, and he's cool as fuck, and he was in the Army, and he did SWAT, and I was like, that's the guy. And so I was like, I'm coming with you. And then I went to the school with him, and I was like, I need to talk to him. So then I ran into him in his office, and I was like, yes. It just so happened that fate worked out and brought you here. So take it away. Tell us where you're from and who you are.
All right, thank you, guys. So first of all, my name is Antoine Diop. Born and raised in Toulouse, France. So that's the south of France. Immigrated to the United States when I was about 12 years old. Both of my parents worked for the Peace Corps. So lucky for me, growing up, I got the opportunity to travel to multiple countries. I think about 2,000 countries, to be honest.
Holy smokes.
It was kind of tough growing up because it was hard for me to build lasting relationship based on the fact that, anytime you make a friend, you got to up and leave again. So due to my parent work. So
did they like, you never had like a home, like where you're always constantly moving?
We just were country hopping all the time.
What kind of countries? Like, was it all?
It was mostly third world countries.
Yeah.
That's where the job will send them at in order to do different outreach program and stuff like that. They work for the UNICEF and stuff like that. Kids that were directly impacted by conflict around the world, just to make sure that they have proper aid and food and nutrition and what have you. So been to multiple countries in Africa, Asia, and also South America as well. So
which one do you think would be the worst?
I would say the country for me that really impacted me was when I went to Rwanda. I was very young, and that really let me look at the world or see the world from a different perspective.
Was that in the 90s?
That was in the 90s, and I realized how blessed I was.
Yeah.
As much as I complained, hey, I just met Susie over here, and that's my little girlfriend, and then I left Susie to come to this stuff, and it was it definitely brought a different sense of perspective. So
were you going to like school at the time, or how were you learning in that situation then?
So homeschool ultimately. Okay. Yeah, so essentially a lot of homeschool. We 1 year we did try to to go to school with every other student, but something popped up and
Yeah.
almost got separated with, separated with my family. And mom and dad decided that, hey, we're just gonna have you stay home and
Yeah.
kind of do the whole online thing. So
Okay.
How old are you?
42 now.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So you eventually made your way over to the United States.
Yep.
So how did that work?
When was that?
So that was in 1996. I want to say in 1996, 1997 during that summer. So we came up here, and then I believe we resided in Maryland at the time.
Okay.
The main office for the United Nations stuff was in New York, but they have a sub office in the DC metro area.
Yeah.
So we lived, the Maryland, DC, Virginia area. It's kind of like the tri-state.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like the hub of all the political stuff. So they had an office right in DC, but we lived in suburb Maryland. We were in Silver Spring, Maryland, to be exact.
DMV, that's what they call it.
Yep. DC, Maryland, Virginia. That's what they call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would have been around like 16, 17 years old?
I was actually younger than that. I think I was probably like 14?
14?
14, I think, yeah. 13, 14.
Do you speak other languages? Sorry, I'm getting off track.
Speak Farsi, speak French, obviously English, and a little bit of Dari too. So
that's awesome.
And some Pashtun.
That's really
Any Creole?
No Creole.
No.
But I can understand every other word they speak.
Yeah. I know all the cuss words. I went to Mauritius, Africa, and I learned Creole there a little bit.
Sure.
But I can speak only the bad language.
Speak Creole. So
I
have a few of my friends that are Haitian that I met in the military. So they, we could communicate, but they have me beat every time.
Yeah.
Once they get too excited, they lose me. So speaking too fast for me.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So did you go to high school out there?
So I did go to school I attended Montgomery Blair High School, and then after that I went to a community college called Montgomery College. So I did that for a couple years, and then after that, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but yeah, I did go to college in Maryland. So.
And then where would you end up?
So, 9/11 happened. I was a freshman. I was attending my math class the morning of September 11th.
Same.
It's funny. But, so I was in my math class at Montgomery College. It was about a little bit past 9 a.m. in the morning, and we heard a roaring thunder outside. And we shook our building, essentially, and trying to figure out what that was. Everybody security came upstairs. It was a 3-story building. Security came upstairs, evacuated all the students back down to the cafeteria, which was down in the basement of our building. And that's when I saw the Tower 2 on fire and Tower 1 being smashed by another aircraft. And that was kind of like the beginning of my military career at that point. I dropped out of college and enlisted in the Marine Corps. Within 10 months of enlisting, I was already boots on the ground in Afghanistan in 2002.
What did you enlist as?
I enlisted as an 0311. I was an infantry guy, ultimately just the bottom of the totem pole, just a grunt.
Grunt.
So went in as a grunt and then kind of worked my way up from there.
What did you do in Afghanistan with the Marines?
We did a lot of QRF at the time. We supported the Ranger Battalion, the guys from the 75th. We also supported a lot of the Special Operation Task Force that were out there.
So 9/11 happened. 10 months later would have been probably in the late summer
of 2002, correct?
So I believe that the first boots on ground were the CIA within like the few weeks after 9/11, I think, right?
They were there prior to that, actually.
Yeah.
They were there essentially directly after 9/11, within a few days, actually, not even a full week.
Okay.
They were already boots on the ground.
Okay.
If you look at the documentary, The Hunt for Osama bin Laden, yeah, those guys were already boots on the ground long before that.
Okay. So, but when you got there, basically our numbers have already been plussed up,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
And there was a lot of service members over there
Sure.
at the time.
Sure. So our job was also essentially to help build the bases out there. When I first got there, my first area operation was Bagram. So we essentially helped um, build Bagram Air Base. So we also have a lot of the folks from the Army Corps of Engineer as well as the Navy Seabees. So those guys were basically also their protection while they were building those bases as well. So
How long were you over there?
6 months.
Okay.
My first deployment was only 6 months.
6 months.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, and we'll kind of circle back here,
Sure.
but so you go 6 months in Afghanistan, then you come back,
Come back.
and then what?
Come back for about didn't deploy for about a year and a half. 2004 hit, and I ended up at the second battle of Fallujah. So it
As
was
a Marine.
as a Marine. November, I think it was roughly around November 7-ish of 2009 that that Operation Phantom Fury started. That was the second battle of Fallujah. So there was actually two battles in Fallujah, but after the insurgent took, so it was the army won in, and the Marines fought the first battle of Fallujah, and then we pulled back out of Fallujah, give
Right.
it back to the Iraqis.
Yep.
Iraqi lost Fallujah
From ISIS, and then
from ISIS
Yep.
and stuff like
'Cause
that.
it was like a vacuum.
It was actually, they were called AQR, Al Qaeda in Iraq at the time.
Yeah.
Before ISIS came in the picture, they used to be called AQI. So Iraqi lost the
Well,
ground.
they gave up, right?
They gave up.
pretty much.
So we had to go back in
Mhm.
again,
Yeah.
and that became the second battle of Fallujah, called Operation Phantom Fury.
So, just speaking on the Iraqi force there, do you believe that? I mean, were they just scared, or were they just not properly trained, or were they paid off, or
No, I think
because it wasn't even a fight? Like they didn't. It seemed like it wasn't even a fight. They just left. They said give up.
I think it was a bit of both. A bit of the fact that they were scared, and also too, they were not well supported at the time. They did not, although we provided them with weapons and ammunition for them to fight the good fight. They just weren't properly trained.
Yeah.
But what we can talk about the training that occurred later on after Fallujah. But yeah, Fallujah and Mosul were definitely a wake up call for us to send ultimately send ground units to military experts to train these guys, and that's where a lot of contracting companies start, like Blackwater and stuff like that, start coming into the picture and started to actually, their job at first was to train these guys,
Yeah.
the Iraqis, and of course, there were some issues that happened with Blackwater and other entity that caused some of those contracts to be terminated.
Yeah.
How long were you there for?
So each deployment was about 6 to 8
months.
months. At Marines, the deployment at 6 to 8 months. One time we did get on my third deployment to I only been to Iraq 3 times and Afghanistan 4 times. So
Only.
yeah. And then I was in Syria also once, but my time in Syria was back in 2018. So,
in your opinion, when we first invaded Iraq, did we just kind of blow through that whole entire country pretty quick?
I would say maybe.
And then we
yes
kind
and
of
no.
pulled back, and then that's when.
I think we had a lot of going in. We had a lot of support from the local populace, right?
Yeah.
What happened is that once we got there, the energy started to shift.
Right.
What I mean by that is you had these outside people that were not even from Iraq, that kept coming and kept preaching a different message, saying that we were the invader, we were there to stay, which was not never the case. And some people bought into that. The majority of the fighters that we actually fought were not even Iraqi fighters. They were from, they were the Hezbollah from Lebanon. They were, uh, people that were circling around from Syria that were coming to Iraq. I mean, majority of these fighters were not even Iraqis. When we would take someone down and we would search that individual, they had, paperwork, citizenship from a different country. So
That's wild.
So, did you experience any of the IEDs in Afghanistan the first time?
I did.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's a little bit of a touchy subject for me because ultimately what became the beginning of my demise was an ID blast. That the first one was back in 2012. That's when I was directly involved in an ID blast. We were in. I was the gunner of an MRAP, which is essentially a supply truck. We were doing security for a supply truck, carrying equipment from Marja, Afghanistan, into Camp Dwyer, Afghanistan. So what happened is my vehicle rolled directly into an IED, killed two of my guys, and I was ejected out of the from being on top of the turret gunner because I wasn't strapped. It was 115 degrees that day, and my vest wasn't even fully strapped. I guess you can say complacency or whatnot. But what saved my life was the fact that I wasn't strapped on top. Vehicle rolled over and caught on fire. It was a pretty large IED. The guys in my vehicle died instantly, and that's when I received my first PH, my first Purple Heart. So, yeah.
That's absolutely wild, man. Like,
Yeah, that's a hell of a story.
it's nuts to think that people have gone through something like that, like so difficult, obviously, for you to go through and recreate in your mind, obviously, over and over again. And like to hear the story, it doesn't seem like much if somebody was listening on YouTube, but when you like try and put yourself in your shoes, as I feel all three of us have done, like that it just seems absolutely like wild, and it's impressive that you're able to be here and say that, to us and let us share in that experience with you a little bit as much as we can.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I know people always ask me, hey, what's that on your arm? So I have four shadows, and also a shadow of a dog, but I'll explain what the dog story later on in the podcast. But those two that I lost, those are some of my guys that are, pictured in my arm, but we'll talk about the other two and the dog later too. So.
Okay, so you deployed to Afghanistan the first time. You come back. You're on active duty, right?
Still on active duty.
Okay, so in the meantime, before your next deployment, you just have some downtime. You're training.
Have some downtime training. I actually went in for Marine Recon, which is it's not, Marine Reconnaissance doesn't fall under special operation. It's just the special operation capable unit that the Marine Corps has. And they predate from the Marine Raiders of World War II. But once they were decommissioned during Vietnam, the reconnaissance team were created. So I tried for recon, ended up catching pneumonia, so got recycled back to training day one. Mind you, I was almost on phase 3 of that training, and the thing about it is when you any school, any of these advanced schools, whenever you get injured or you get ill or something like that, they recycle you back to training day one. So you have to embrace the suck all over again. So I told myself I didn't want to do it. I was struggling a little bit at that time. I didn't know what it was, but I think I started to experience some forms of PTSD. But hold and behold, I didn't even know what that was at the time.
How old are you when you first deployed?
I was about 18 years old.
Jeez.
Yeah. I enlisted at 17 with my my parent consent, and at 18 I was already boots on the ground.
Wow.
How did your
I was a
parents
kid.
feel about that coming from like the
Peace Corps.
the Peace Corps?
My mom was scared.
Yeah.
My dad wasn't really he wasn't really in the picture when we got back. Essentially, he started his own family shortly after we came back stateside. So, him and I, we had there was a rift in the family, a break, and he, for no apparent reason, he just left us, and and just kind of started his own family. I have brothers and sisters I have yet to meet till this day, but like I said, that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, my mom was afraid, but she also was very proud because she knew that that's something that I wanted to do. That was something that was dear to me. Just a little bit of backstory about my family, military service. I was the first one since World War II to serve in my family. My dad was a French Foreign Legionnaire, so in World War II. So he served with the Americans during the height of the war. So,
Oh, that's crazy.
so I always wanted to be like my grandpa, and I don't think it was. Excuse me for saying that. He was a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He was an old school. He was I would refer to him as an OG.
Yeah.
He
that was
one
your
of the-
grandpa?
My grandfather, yeah.
Dude,
It was an OG.
So my great grandfather fought in World War One for the Germans.
Jeez.
So our grandpas,
They probably met at
fought
some
each other.
point.
That's crazy. Okay, so second deployment to Iraq, another 6 to 8 months there, and that was in 2008.
That was in 2007, 2008.
Okay, 2007, 2008. Okay, so then you come back from that deployment. Then what?
Come back from that deployment, tried out for Marine Recon, didn't get through, didn't pass, and got ordered to go back to Afghanistan again within 6 months of my recovery. So went back, and then
And what was your job when you went back?
0311.
Yeah,
I
so
was a grunt at that time. It was
same thing, QRF.
same thing. No, this time actually we were doing search and destroy missions.
Okay, like
So-
like high value targets.
Not so much. Our job was not. That was mostly for the upper echelon troops, like the SF guys that were hitting high value target. But what we did have to do a few times was do security for them while they were hitting targets. So we were like kind of like doing perimeter security
Yeah.
while they were doing their thing. So
Okay.
yeah.
So search and destroy? What were you guys?
So
looking
a
for?
lot of this. So Afghanistan does control opium.
Yeah,
There's a lot of.
I was gonna
opium in
get to that, but
Afghanistan.
yeah.
So what happened is we ended up destroying a lot of those poppy fields. So because that's how they were financing their war.
They're fighters.
So they were financing the war against us, against coalition forces. So we did a lot of destruction of those fields, and also too we went after bad guy, but not so much as directly per se. We were mostly assisting, all the 75th guy, 75th Ranger Battalion guy, SEALs, and also, like I say, all the hardcore units at the time. But
When you guys destroy a poppy field, how do you destroy it?
just burn it.
Just burn it down?
Burn it down.
Did you ever hear of the theory that we were in Afghanistan for the poppy fields?
So I heard. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I can tell you one thing. I have seen an organization, a 3-letter organization that generally, I'm not gonna say any name, but they were there, and it's not an everyday organization that you see in the field, especially in the midst of
War.
in a war.
Yeah.
So they were out there, so I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So their job is to go after narco states. and Afghanistan is a narco state, you know. So, but they were out there too. You know, we helped them quite a bit. Let me put it that way. So,
Interesting.
Okay. So you do that deployment. That's a rough one.
That one wasn't too bad.
That one wasn't. This was in 2011.
That was in 2009, 2010. Now,
Okay.
I'm sorry, 2009. About a year after that, I volunteered to go. I could have stayed home, but I
Volunteered to
volunteered.
go back.
I had just re-enlisted again, and part of my re-enlistment incentive, I wanted to go back. I know it's gonna sound kind of crazy, but when you taste combat, you yearn for it. Especially when you know that your boys are going to go out there, knowing what you've seen and experienced. You don't want nothing happen to them. You kind of want to be like
Be with them.
Be with them. Especially, I was an NCO at the time. I was a sergeant at the time. You know, I was in charge of those guys. It was my responsibility to make sure everybody comes home alive.
And this one would be your fourth one.
That would be my fourth one. Now, 2010, 2011, I'm not sure if you guys heard the Battle of Marja. That was a rough one.
Yeah.
That was brutal. It almost reminded me of Fallujah in many ways. During that year, actually, President Obama at the time, I think he was a president, he beefed up the number of U.S. forces to Marines, to be exact, by 30,000 just to go into Marja.
Is that a valley?
No, Marja was in Helmand Province,
Okay.
which is the southwest Afghanistan.
Okay.
So it's kind of mostly flat.
Okay.
Now, when you go toward the center to the north, that's when it's more more mountainous. But Marja was it was bloody. We lost quite a few guys.
Was that a city? Was that city?
It
fighting?
was a city of Marja.
Okay.
Yep. And we lost quite a few guys. That deployment was brutal. So
Was it?
I was with 2nd Battalion, 5th Marine at that time. So
was it a numbers thing, or was it just because they were guerrilla fighting? And
it was a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
They most definitely outnumbered us, but there's an old saying, always outmanned, but and always outgunned, but never outmanned.
Yeah.
And but yeah, there were quite a lot of fighters in that city, but we cleared it. British tried to go in there, and they just couldn't handle. So Marja started with the British first, and I mean they did the best they could, not trying to kick those guys down to the dirt, but they did the best they could. But it just took us, the German and the British, to clear the city.
Wow.
So
you guys rolled through with armor and everything?
We at the time we did have tanks. The Marine Corps had tanks at that time.
Yeah.
So I mean, we leveled the city. There was, by the time we were done with it, there was nothing left.
Yeah.
Prior to us going into the city, the aircraft were dropping flyers to the citizens, say, "Hey,
Get
evacuate because we're coming. If you stay, you'll be considered an enemy combatant." So lucky for us, the majority, I would say 95% of the people left, but there was still that small number that stayed because they had nowhere else to go. I hate to say it, but there were casualties.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with the the war itself, but
yeah.
That's just like
gonna have casualties.
That's the nature of war, right? Like, right. Is it typical for you guys per se to send notice like that too when you go in? Like when you see this stuff on the news and there's like, oh my God, they're bombing these people, innocent people, blah blah. It's like, is it fair to say those people did get some kind of a warning at least?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like a notice to evacuate,
United States
right?
will always make sure that enough warning is being issued before they go in there. Right. Now, if it's like a surgical strike, like where you go in, get one guy and come out, that's different.
That's secret,
right? Yeah. But when you go in and try to remove said amount of people from said place, usually plenty of notice is being made prior to. So
Yeah.
but
Interesting.
like I say,
I never knew that.
these people don't really have a lot of these people are farmers. They don't have
Nowhere
much.
to
They don't
go.
have nowhere to
Yeah,
go.
nowhere to travel or
You
anything
know,
like that.
no means to travel, especially the the elders. So I mean, it's a bum situation, but it's the nature of the beast. I hate to say it.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I'm not proud to even mention that, but it is what it is. So
So when you go to a battle, and this might sound pretty stupid, but I'm
no,
unfamiliar
no.
with this. So you're at a base already. You've gotten flown to a base, and then from the base you drive to a location.
So the way it goes, you get when you get to your so our main base of operation was Camp Letterneck. So Camp Letterneck was the main base. It's the base that housed all the coalition forces. So Camp Letterneck was divided into two. You have Camp Letterneck, which is the Marine side, Marine and Army side. They will share Camp Letterneck and Air Force guys too, and some Navy guys. And then you have Camp Bastion, which is right next to Camp Letterneck, which is the British side. And inside of the British side, you have what it's called Row 1, which is the that area, that region, ginormous hospital.
Okay.
So anytime there is any casualties or a civilian get hit or one of us get hit, they get the Air Force PJs. What they'll or the medevac units, they'll grab a safe individual, fly them back to row 1 and treat them, and from row 1, depending on the severity of the injury, they get flown to Leinstow, Germany.
So how far away is that base from where you fought in that battle then?
So from Letterneck, anytime we're going on a mission, we get pushed to a FOB, a forward operating base. So our FOB was Camp Dwyer, and Camp Dwyer was, I believe it was northeastern side of the from Camp Letterneck. So from there, we get flown there.
Okay.
We regroup. We go to our mission briefing, everything else, and then we get prepped up. We do all the mission briefing, mission rehearsal, and then we get flown by chopper to the DZ, which was in MARSOC, which was literally like a 15 or 20-minute flight out from Camp Dwyer.
Okay.
So if you can imagine, like, invading a country, you set up your main base, then you fight, push the front line, set up like a little base where you can, fly in and out of, somewhat secure, and then you keep going.
Yeah. Okay. I bet your heart's racing when you're going through that situation. Just like when you're getting there.
It's anybody that tells you they're not afraid, that person is lying.
Mm-hmm.
You it doesn't matter what's your first time or your 100th mission, you're always going to be afraid. It always feel like, day one all over again. The only thing is, for me, for some of us, not just for me, but by that time, a lot of us were already veterans. We had already had, a minimum 2-3 combat deployment under our belt. Some of us more than that. You know how to keep yourself grounded.
Right.
It's natural to feel afraid. It's natural to feel anxious. But that's what keeps you on your tippy toes.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps you grounded. Now, if you go out there and you can't perform your job, then something is wrong with that. So you're gonna get people hurt.
That would be. Do you think a lot, like before you would go out, do you think a lot about your guys and like keeping them safe, or are you just thinking about doing your job, like executing your job?
Both.
Yeah.
By executing my job means keeping my guys safe.
Okay.
But of course, no mission goes according to plan.
Yeah.
No mission goes according to plan.
Do you think that on the flip side of that, like the people that you were fighting, do you think that they feel that way too about their guys?
I believe so, yeah.
Think so?
I believe so.
I've always wondered that. Like, if that's why we're such an effective fighter, is because we care about the guys so much.
Well, mind you that these Afghan have been fighting for centuries.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are not, they are born learning how to fight with very little.
Yeah.
These guys can survive in extreme environment, extreme heat, and extreme cold. With that being said, I have not met the Afghans were probably by far the most. When I mean the Afghan, I mean uh, the guys that we were fighting. Um, they were they were skilled fighters, to say the least.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing. They got so smart at disguising themselves. Even though we had NVGs, they would use the element to disguise themselves. Whereas our choppers that are multi-million-dollar chopper could not always detect them on the ground because they would use
Night vision.
with night vision. They
Wow.
would use blankets to hide their heat signatures, and it's I forget what those blankets are called, but they were man-made, and yeah, those were actually hiding the heat signature. The bout of Robert Ridge, Robert O'Neill, the Navy SEAL back in 2001, when he fell in the back of that chopper, where when they went to Kargar, which is the mountain, it's part of the Shaikat Valley, which is part of the Himalayas. Mount Everest is also part of the Himalayas. They were essentially ambushed by foreign fighters, and I think those fighters were Eastern European fighters at the time. During 9/11, they were like the very beginning of the war. There were a lot of foreign fighters,
Like
Eastern
Bosnians
European,
or
Bosnian,
yeah.
Eastern
Chechnya?
European, Chechens.
Yeah.
Eastern European foreign fighters were embedded with the local militia to fight us, and yeah, they would disguise, they would hide the heat signature, and that's how three of our choppers during that one mission, the mission known as the Battle of Robert Ridge, actually happened, where Rangers and SEALs were trapped. I think out of that mission, if I recall correctly, there were two. There were two Medal of honors that were given out to one SEAL and one Air Force guy. So I think one of the SEAL was from SEAL Team 6. I think it was Chief Sablinski. I think that was his name. And I think John Chapman was the Air Force pararescue jumper that was also given the Medal of Honor too. But yeah, I got there a few months after that battle happened. I was never there on the ground, but from what I heard, that's exactly what that's what took place on for those 15 hours.
So the people that are hiding their heat signature, they're just gunners as well, right? Like
they have old Russian anti-tank and
okay.
Russian Dishka. I mean, you name it.
From the 80s, right?
From the 80s,
Wow. So we supplied them with the weapons to fight the Russians.
Sure.
Then they turn around and use the weapons that we supplied them
against us.
Okay.
Seems like to be a common occurrence.
It's like history is like repeating itself. All the deja vu all over. So
that's crazy.
Okay, so that one's a rough one. You come home. What happens?
Come home. Started drinking. Starting to lose myself. Starting to have bad nightmares. That deployment in 2010. All the folks that are now known as Marja Marines, they were felt like all the combat operation that was involved in from Fallujah on to now, to then at the time, everything just came full circle. I was struggling, and I was hiding behind a bottle. Nobody knew about it. Maybe a few people, but I was drinking heavily just to stay sane, and stayed home for about a year that time, and then went back in 2012 again
to Afghanistan. Did you get forced?
No.
Why would you want to go back?
Just rotation. The unit I was in was always deploying. So the way the deployment cycle went, they would give the deployment to a West Coast unit, and then that unit will come home, and then they will give the redeploy an East Coast unit. So between Camp Pendleton and Camp Lejeune, those were the two units that kept going back and forth, back and forth.
Mm.
And every time I would shift from, let's say I was in 2-5, then I would go to 3-5 after X amount of time, because they move troops around.
Yeah.
And each time that they moved me around, it just so happened that unit was gonna punch out again. So I guess call it fate, call it bad luck, bad juju. I don't know. So
How were you able to hide the drinking? Obviously, I guess. I mean, obviously, you can't really drink when you're out there.
sure.
But I'm sure you were having some feelings about not being able to drink.
So once you get in, I know it's gonna be awful to say, but I always felt alive when I was out there.
Yeah.
It's like you go from 100 to 0 overnight.
Right.
You don't know what to do with yourself. I always felt like a human being, like I was productive. I was on my A game when I was out there. When I come home, just didn't know what to do with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So did many people. I'm not proud of that part of my time in the military, but I think let's be honest, it happened quite often. But yeah, I felt alive. I felt like, hey,
So you didn't need it.
I didn't need it, but when I was home, I needed it. I needed to replace that stuff that I was missing from that high level of adrenaline that I was at.
When you were there, you had purpose.
I had purpose. When I came home, I had no purpose. I was not a garrison Marine. I was a combat Marine. That's how I viewed myself as.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's how you were forged, because being so close to those towers when that happened, and that affected you to your heart. And so that's the whole purpose of why you joined, was to go and fight.
Right.
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 So when you don't have that, it just, there's nothing else that you want to do.
Yeah. Well, that deployment though, back in 2012, I lost my best friend. And oh man, that was tough. 2012, I lost my best friend. His name was Corporal Keaton Coffey. Him and I were slated to go into MARSOC, Marine Special Operations, after that deployment. And Keaton stepped on an IED. It was about 30 meters from my position. A little bit of backstory with that. Even though I was the in charge of the platoon for that particular sortie, I was kind of ill that day. So I traded places with Keaton, and that tore me a new one, because the fact that I was supposed to be the point man, and I trade places with Keaton because he knew that I wasn't 100% that day. It was a bug going around the platoon, and tag out was it. I ended up catching that bug a few hours before going on that mission, and within 30 minutes of us switching, he stepped on an ID, and I always felt like that ID had my name on it. And Keaton was also a dog handler. That's what that little dog tattoo came, so so Keaton and our K9 essentially ended up dying on scene. He lost both of his legs and tourniqueted him and called for medevac. The last thing I remember, Doug was already dead. Keaton was barely alive. Last I remember was once we triaged and put him in the Blackhawk helicopter. I kissed his forehead. I said, "I'll see you in a couple hours." That was the last time I saw my best friend. That was rough. That deployment, I was hell bent on killing just about everything and everyone, and I felt like I was enraged. I became a weapon. Nobody knew. That's just how I felt. I never told anyone. That's just kind of how I felt on the inside. And I was also overly protective with my guys. I got into it with one of our master sergeant at the time, because, hold and behold, we had just come back from that mission. Everybody was dirty, bloody. Um, and
You're a sergeant at this time.
I was
right?
I was I was a sergeant. I was still a sergeant at that time. One of the company master sergeant came up to me and he was like, no, I'm sorry, came up to one of my Marine, and was chewing him out because he was dirty, not knowing that we just came back from being outside the wire, that we had just lost one of our own. I grabbed that SOB and almost got NJP for it. NJP stands for non-judicial punishment. It's kind of like, it's not a court martial, but it's kind of like a few steps from a court martial. It's kind of like when you get help me out here, when you get bad paperwork.
Okay.
For
like a pink slip.
Right, for unbecoming.
Yeah.
So but yeah, we got into it, and our first sergeant came and told the master sergeant what had happened, and he kind of, left.
And I'm guessing that guy was probably just a fobbit and never left.
He was a pogue.
Yeah.
A pogue, people other than grunt. Like,
Okay.
Was an admin guy. So
Never.
Not to knock out admin guys, because they do a lot of great work, but he just didn't know what
You guys are doing.
us as grunt.
He wasn't in his element.
Right.
Yeah.
I've heard of that happening several times. One of the guys in my old unit, they were outside of the wire for probably a couple weeks. He came back to the chow hall. They were starving. Went to the chow hall, had a beard, like a scruffy beard. Got his ass chewed for having a beard, and he hasn't
eaten an actual meal in so long.
Yeah.
Taking a shower. We use baby wipe to clean ourselves in the field. We call that field hygiene. While everybody else takes hot showers. Sometimes we have to go in a riverbank that is dirty just to shower real quick and clean up or what have you. While you have these officers and senior enlisted that sometimes, they just should have common sense, but most of them don't.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, those are the type of people that
just piss you off. Yeah.
Ruin it.
Yeah. Which would be tough when you're talking about life lost.
Yeah. Situations like that happen. It's just.
Yeah, but that was tough. I had to clean his gear and so his bunk and everything else, and it took me. Keaton and I traded death letters before the deployment. Before every deployment, you write a letter to your family in the event something happens. I held on to that letter for almost 2 years before I gave it to his family. I just couldn't face them because I always felt as though I was the reason why he didn't come home. So that my PTSD definitely kicked in, and I refused to go to sick bay. Sick bay is the little medical spot that we have to get diagnosed and start getting treatments and stuff, because we were always told as Marine, hey, forget your emotions. Having emotions is a sense of weakness, when in fact, and that's what our leadership would preach to us. When in fact, I wish that I knew that asking for help was a sign of strength versus a sign of weakness, because in return, I could have saved some of my guys that came home and committed suicide after the fact. So that also haunts me as well. So.
Yeah, it's tough. That's not even something people are just starting to understand that in the regular world now. Like, you can ask for help, and so I mean, it still doesn't happen. That's the thing. People don't think that way, especially not people that are very masculine. Like I know my dad wouldn't have said that 5 years ago. That's not very long ago.
I feel like for us men, it's kind of frowned upon to ask for help, when in fact, look, as a man, we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, and people don't understand that. And when I mean people, mostly women don't understand what we go through as men. We're trying to protect, provide, and profess, profess our love, provide for our family, protect them. But a lot of people don't understand that, all that pressure is on our shoulder. And we're not superhumans. We bleed, we breathe like everybody else.
Mm.
I just wish that I knew that it was okay for me personally to ask for help, so that I could help some of my boys, from committing suicide. Because yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of lessons learned about the past 20 years of what everybody went through. I think there's a lot that we've learned since then. So that was number 5.
Number 5.
And that was the worst one.
That was the worst one.
Okay. What happens after you get home?
Got home. Nothing changed. Got right back in the bottle. Just had my feelings and my emotion. 20 went to ANS assessment and selection from MARSOC, and I got selected. I went to ANS at Camp Lejeune. MARSOC is kind of like tailored. It's like a little bit of SEAL training but mostly they mimic Army Green Beret selection.
Okay.
So went through that. Got into ITC, which is the 9 months individual training course. Went through that. So passed that the first time. So was in the repeat of me trying to be a recon guy and getting healed and got, ultimately recycled. So that didn't happen. So I was pretty pleased. I was redesignated from a 0311 to 0372, which is a critical skills operator, CSO. Deploy with Task Force Afghanistan, Special Operation Task Force Afghanistan, and with Team 8313 back in 2014. During that deployment, it was a 6-month deployment. During that deployment, we lost my dear friend, Master Sergeant Antoine. Kicked a soda bottle, and underneath that soda bottle was a pressure plate.
No shit.
And
Wow.
took his leg out. It was a deja vu all over again of Keaton Coffee. The thing that made me upset about this whole situation, we were on a foot patrol. We were actually training the ANA, the Afghan National Army. So our job was we started in 2014, we started to do what is called the retrograde of gear, retrograde of everything. And our job during that retrograde operation was to high five the ANA. What I mean by that is to train them, high five them and say, here's your country, you got it. So our mission was just to train them. That's all we're there for. However, we would go on mission with them as well, on patrol with them and all that stuff, but we were not taking lead. They would take lead. We would just be there to assist and advise. During an early morning operation, Master Sergeant Torian, I don't know if it was, and I don't want to, may he rest in peace. I don't want to say anything out of the improper here, but what makes me upset is that all the training that we did get, before you go into country, you are told if it looks like trash, stay away from it. Don't touch it. If something looks out of place, stay away from it. Call EOD and they'll take care of it. Sweep it, do something, but just don't touch it. How many times do you see like a soda can in the middle of a freaking desert? Never, right? That right there should have been an indication. I wasn't close enough for him to see what happened, exactly what led to that. I don't know if maybe he got upset at one of the ANA soldiers because they would do stupid stuff sometimes. Mm-hmm. They would flag us all the time with their weapons and just minor things that could lead to big things, right? Um, well, again, I wasn't close enough to see everything that happened, but all I know, he kicked that soda can and boom. All I saw was a cloud of smoke, and then I heard the explosion. So
Wow.
yeah. So lost my son Torian. He bled out on his way to row one. So it was kind of like same thing happened to Keaton. He was 35 from Paducah, Kentucky. Actually, I wear his bracelet here. Um, so
Is that
um,
right? How long were you in country when that happened?
we were there for probably 2.5, not even the whole 3 months before that happened. Um, he was killed on February 14, 2014. So, um, so that was rough. He knew what was going on with me. This guy was a stud. He could smell BS from a mile away. He was actually Marine of the Year out of the entire United States Marine Corps. He was Marine of the Year as a sergeant back
That's awesome.
a few years back.
Wow.
Um, he knew it all. He's seen it all. He knew it all. He was my mentor. He's the guy that everybody would lean on. And we would call him Top. Top is Master Sergeant. For probably you
Yep.
guys probably use the same acronym too. But
Yep.
say, hey Top, I need this. He'll make it happen. He always took care of us. Always took care of his troops. Um, that was a tough one for me to swallow. But just adjust and adapt and overcome. And it's like you put it in the back of your head and you have to keep pushing forward. We never had time to talk about what happened, to process anything. We just recock and right back outside the wire again. So
And the rest of the deployment was
the rest of the plan was pretty weird, pretty eerie to say the least.
Do they send another guy out with you guys, or it's just you guys now?
Just us. What we left with is what we got.
Yep.
So
what do you say? It's eerie.
when you go with the big dogs, you know that you feel like as though you invincible, and when something like that happens, it brings about that human factor, into the equation, and it lets you know that hey, at any given time, something can happen. The year prior to, we had two MARSOC operators that were shot by an ANA while they were training him. It was a green on blue attack, an insider attack.
Yeah.
And that happened. That has happened quite a bit over the course of 20 years of combat, where you would train with the partner force, and then one of the guys actually worked for the Taliban, and he ends up enlisting in the Afghan National Army. And they don't vet these guys like the way we vet our
Yeah.
recruits and stuff like that here.
Yeah.
They get into those within the ranks, and then they turn the weapon against one of us.
Yeah.
Or one of them. So
Which is crazy. I can't believe that they don't vet them.
yeah, supply and demand.
Yeah, I guess.
So,
That's crazy.
yeah,
So that's number 5.
that's number 5.
Okay. So you come home from that one, then what?
Come on for that one, and we didn't deploy for 2 years after that. So that's 2014. Going back, pushing to 2016, we go to Iraq, and we there to assist and advise the Iraqi National Army. Well, around that time, ISIS came along, and Syria started popping off too. So they ended up sending a Navy SEAL task force. They also pushed the Army top dogs. Delta, never seen them before. Those guys are scary, by the way. I would not even get close to those guys. So you have different task force out there. You have the 160F. You have SEALs. You have Army, SF, you have MARSOC, you have basically just about everybody's in country at that time, and they do surgical operation. We all do surgical operation, trying to find HVT, high value target, hit them, trying to get them alive, so we can come back, ask them question, and then get as much intel as we can from them, and then kind of go to a follow on mission after that, and so on and so forth.
On that note, you don't have to answer.
Sure,
but
sure.
When you guys did get some HVTs, did you have to hand them off to?
We hand them off every time.
Yeah.
Our job was not to do the
interrogation.
Nope.
Just so you're like hands off and don't have to.
Especially after what happened in Abu Ghraib, I'm sure you guys heard all about it.
Yeah.
They
did. They took some prisoners and took pictures of them
and leaked them.
Did some sadistic things essentially with them. So
Gotcha.
And that became like a CNN hit piece, I guess you can say. But
I've seen a bunch of pictures like that from someone locally who was in Iraq. They had crazy pictures like that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the optics behind it didn't look good for the military at all, especially when you have a private, doing stuff to to some of these guys, or group of lower ranking individual, that were just kind of like making them eat their feces or do sexual acts among each other. That's not what we stand for. So
right.
These guys, again, some of these guys were terrorists, some of these guys were bad people.
Yeah.
I mean, but personally, would I do that? No, I wouldn't. Right. Would I want to beat the crap out of them? Maybe. Yeah. But not. We gotta be better than that.
Right.
We are better than that.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, that's a different conversation for another day.
The reason why I'm asking is because I've been listening to a lot of John Kiriakou. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
So
heard the name before though.
Yeah, he worked for the CIA. And he's the one that blew the whistle on waterboarding. Because the CIA at the time, they were doing waterboarding techniques, and they weren't supposed to be. And then, of course, Bush, like, no, we're not doing any waterboarding techniques. Like, that's
which wasn't the truth.
And the whole time they were doing waterboarding techniques, and so then he blew the whistle on the CIA waterboarding thing, and the Obama administration threw him in prison for it. Even though he told the truth, and they weren't supposed to be doing that.
Sure.
But so yeah, that's why I was asking if. Because that makes sense. If you guys were to capture somebody, you guys would hand them off to let somebody else do it.
Yeah, every time we hand them off, that was not our baby. Our baby was to bring them the intel, and then for them. Did
you get any of the intel, or did they see this once they got the HVTs? They took everything, all the intel and everything.
No, we got some intel back. You? Whatever was pertinent to
what your mission
next mission.
Yeah.
But of course, I felt as though. And not just me, many of us felt as though the information was a little bit not well given.
So do you think that the reason why behind that was the method of how they would interrogate?
I don't know.
Because that's what that's what they say is the method that they were using was not a effective method at all.
Right. Because
they were just saying shit to stop it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Right. So that's interesting. That's interesting.
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what they would do or what they were doing and what intel was credible and what was not, because we hit targets sometimes that were just a black hole.
Yeah.
Most of our missions was nothing came out of. So,
Yeah.
Very few we got good intel, but most of them.
Do you know some of the techniques that they did?
Mm-mm.
So they would they would put them in a tiny box, have them stand up straight. They would play, they'd blast like heavy metal music, turn the lights bright as hell. So they would, starve them, keep them up, and then they would, physically hit them. So they would, go through all this stuff to try to get information. But what they found out was like when they did that, these guys would just give out random shit for it to stop. So a lot of it, I don't know for sure, but they said that a lot of the information they were giving out was not credible. But They said that more of the interrogation techniques have changed over time, but I guess the nice guy approach just gets more information out of them.
Right.
Interesting.
Yep.
So that's your last one, right? No, you go to Syria.
No, that's Syria. So number 7 by then.
7 fucking deployments.
2019. Was it 2019 or 2018? Can't remember. Anyway, right around that, we were in northern Iraq, the border of Iraq and Syria.
Okay.
ISIS that was during Operation Inherent Resolve.
Yep.
We were hitting targets in northern Iraq. We're trying to push ISIS away from coming into Iraq and having them gain full control of Iraq. So we're able to push them all the way back with the Peshmerga. Man, those guys are awesome. And majority of those Peshmerga are actually females.
What?
And
That's the tribe that's
yep,
siding with, I guess,
sure.
anybody that's not
That is not part of that tribal culture.
Yep.
Man, these women were amazing. For women, first of all, they were a fighter, but they were women fighter. And these women, they were as young as my daughter. Some of them were 13, 14 years of age.
Interesting.
And they were tough as nail.
Wow.
So they helped us out. They knew the area a lot. A lot of the intel that we would get would be from them. They would know the area much better than we did. So they would let us know when and where to hit a target.
Oh wow.
And man, oh man, they were so accurate. Their intel was more accurate than our intel coming from the guys on our side.
Wow.
So, human intel is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Especially if it's credible human intel, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And we did some damage. We had our first person we lost 2 operators. We lost our team captain, officer in charge, and we also lost our team chief, which was our gunnery sergeant too, during that deployment. And the SEALs also lost Charles Keaton on the 4th. He was one of the sniper. He was also struck by a sniper round during that deployment.
Really?
So ultimately, we lost a total of 3 guys. One of our guy was also hit, was injured, ended up getting medevac, and he ended up getting a Navy Cross from that operation. I don't want to say their name for operational security, for OPSEC reason, but that deployment was tough. So we just kept losing guys left and right. And then came home. After that deployment, we were all forced to actually see the shrink after all.
Yeah.
At that time, the damage was already done for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
My body was also wrecked.
I was gonna say
I had shrapnels from previous deployment. That deployment as well, I took some shrapnels. Took a shrapnel in the back of my skull. Not sure if you can see the little thing right here.
Yep.
Like took a piece of shrapnel in the back of my skull, knocked me out flat on my butt.
Wow.
And I had a compound fracture also too on my forearm. So anyway, we did our medical debrief and everything else, and that's when I found out that I was more messed up than I actually knew I was messed up. So I ended up spending 2 years at Naval Hospital Balboa in San Diego. And then from San Diego, I was sent back to 1st Marine Raider. And from there, I ended up going to I went to Wounded Warrior Battalion West, aboard Camp Pendleton, and I was being processed out basically. My PTSD was severe, and also to my body was wrecked. Just I had a piece. I still have a piece of shrapnel lodged in the back of my spine. That is so close that if every 6 months I do have to get an MRI with contrast just to make sure that shrapnel hasn't shifted. They can remove it. The problem is it may cause more damage if they do.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can ride it out, hopefully it doesn't shift. I just can't play sports like football, or I can't do CrossFit like I used to anymore. So that's why I got a little bit of the beer gut now. But I can't do like heavy stuff anymore, like CrossFit and stuff like that, like hard functional fitness, like I used to do while I was in the military because of that piece of shrapnel that is lodged in my back. So
You get that one at the last deployment too, or you had it?
no,
already?
I got that one on my last deployment.
Okay.
So that's when my second PH came about. In 2022, I ended up taking a retirement, full medical retirement from the Marine Corps, and then within a year of that, I got bored. I worked for the State Department for a year. I was basically doing paperwork stuff. And I'm like, what am I doing?
Is that
here?
in DC?
No, that was in Atlanta.
Okay.
So I moved back to Atlanta. So
You needed a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to breach doors again for a living. So I went to Atlanta because one of my best friend that also a friend of mine that ended up becoming a best friend of mine. He was a Marine Recon guy, and he lost an eye during one of our deployment. So he talked me into coming back to the ATL, and also too my family also had moved there, and some of my family members, and I took my family, moved down to Atlanta. But I was bored. I was working for the State Department, just doing paperwork. I was behind a desk. I'm like, how do I go from being like a top dog in special operation to all of a sudden, being behind a desk, and what am I doing here? And I had an epiphany, and my wife looked at me and she said, "Hey, why don't you try, law enforcement?" I looked at her and I started laughing. I said, "No one's gonna take me. I'm damaged goods." She said, "Hey, don't knock it till you try it." So I tried it. Joined the I was on patrol I joined the Conyers Police Department in Atlanta. I was a patrol officer for the first 2 years, and after that, I tried for. There was a position open on the SWAT team. We had a full-time SWAT team. There was about 20 some people for one spot, and I made that spot.
That's
They
awesome.
took one look and they're like, "Yeah."
But the funny thing is, I never told anybody my background.
So
They
they didn't
knew I
have,
was probably military, but I never, till this day.
but they knew you were MARSOC, obviously.
No,
What?
I never told anybody.
No way. You didn't turn your DD-214 in?
I did.
Didn't it have it on there? I mean, all your medals and recommendations.
Most of the civilians, they don't even know how to read a DD-214.
True.
So they knew I was in the military. That's all they knew. They knew I was deployed, and that was it. Most of us kind of like to stay in the shadow. Personally, I don't like to talk about myself. So when I told you when I asked you this morning, I said, "So what's on the agenda?" When you told me, I was like, "Oh, dang, I
Damn,
gotta talk about
I
myself."
gotta talk about myself.
And I don't like to talk about myself, obviously, for obvious reason. I, don't like to feel like I don't want to be credited for anything.
Yeah.
I was in the military because I enjoyed it and I wanted to serve my country. That is it. Nothing more, nothing less than that. They are much better individual that I serve with that are no longer here that should be talked about, not me. But I do appreciate the love.
Can I just say something though?
Sure.
I think that we're not done with your story yet, but just hearing your story is incredible. You have an incredible story.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's a lot there. But if other service members were able to see what you've been through and see how far you've come, that alone in itself can help people too. Absolutely. To see how far you've come. You have 5 kids. You have a great job. You seem to be stable.
The kids are keeping me busy.
So
So
I think that would be beneficial to a lot of other people that are struggling.
sure.
You know,
It's a success story.
it is a success
Yeah,
story,
yeah.
and people love success stories. They love true success stories, right? Like I loved Tim Kennedy. I loved Tim Kennedy. I listened to his book, and then of course when everything came out about him lying, I was like, "What the fuck? That sucks." But to hear your story and what you've been through, dude, I'm telling you, like, people love success stories.
I don't think my stories are, and I'm gonna.
And I'm not saying that yours is like,
Sure.
I'm like,
I'm-
obviously
I'm
you went
gonna-
through the hell.
I'm gonna respectfully disagree because I don't think my story is a success story at all.
True.
I think it's a story of redemption in
Redemption.
so many ways. Just from having it all at a young age to, dad leaving us, mom getting very sick, ultimately being, having to figure it all out, in my young adult years, and just I was a lot of those things I was kind of shooting from the hip, and trying to figure out who I was as an individual, and also trying to provide for my siblings as well, and in trying to make my my mom proud of me, and she was going through so much heartaches. And how does a man leaves his family to build a different family, so I just think my story is honestly not a story of nothing to be praised. I think, but I do appreciate. I think it's mostly a story of a redemption. That there is hope out there. But it took a village to get me to the point where that I am today. I didn't become the person that I am today because of it was nothing less than a miracle.
Yeah.
I stopped drinking. I went to therapy. You know, I had I had to sit down and really take a good look at myself, and other people had to scrutinize some of the things that I was doing that was in detriment of my health and my well-being, in order to understand a lot of the different things, because other people before me had gone through that too, so they knew where that road would eventually lead, either me being dead or or me being messed up or dead. And I just didn't want to be part of the 22 a day.
Yeah.
So, and every day I live my life not for me, but to honor my brothers, those that are no longer with us. And I had there's a gentleman in California before I left. His name is Patrick Frager. He's a old school reconnaissance Marine. He took me under his wing, and we started a group at a local restaurant called Bagsby. And all of us, all the combat guys would get together, even non-combat people. We would all come together. If something happened to you and you were struggling, whether it was mentally or physically or whatever, we would come together. We would all talk about it. We wouldn't just push someone away because they didn't have no combat experience. Look, at the end of the day, pain is pain. There's just different layers, different degrees of pain. So we had people that were, service member and first responder that were injured on the job. We took all these folks in, and we would just have a round table and cry, laugh, joke, what have you. No alcohol present, just eat good food and just talk about what was bothering us and how we could improve. And everybody would kind of put their 2 cents on, and we would constantly check on one another, see how we could help each other. And till this day, we all stay in contact. And I think if I have a purpose in life, my purpose is to help people. when AC chief, when the chief of police for West Fargo took give me that proposed that took the job as an SRO. I think he knew that it was a method to that madness. I didn't want to do it because 1,500 kids is a lot of kids to worry about. But I think deep down he knew that I was probably the right person for that job. And 2 weeks in, I believe I am the right person for that job for the simple fact that in 2 weeks, yes, there's been issues, there's been shootings, there's been other things that happen outside of school. But within those 2 weeks, I had staff members as well as students alike, especially the students that would come to me and make statement like, "Thank you for making us feel safe. Thank you for, just saying hello in the morning. Thank you for always having a smile on your face."
Yeah.
You know that made me. I broke down one day in the office because I was like, this student left a pink slip, and she wrote something. Hey, thank you for saying hello to me. I was really having a bad day, but you saying hello today saved my life. And whenever you come to the office, I'll show you that thing again. And one of the principal grabbed it and gave it to me, and he was like, "This is what you mean to some of these students. It's only been week 2. There's more blessing to come." And that made me feel whole. It made me feel like, okay, I'm not kicking down doors anymore. Uh, I'm not in the front line anymore. I'm not I'm not kicking down doors, looking at, going after, drug dealers or what have you. Now I'm with students, and they too need mentors because let's be honest, a lot of these kids, some of them are not, don't have, the outlet is being at school,
Yeah.
being in sport. They don't really have those role models. I'm not saying that I'm a role model, but if I can at least, you know, do some good where I'm at, I think that'd be a start for a lot of those kids.
Yeah, a lot of kids are just needing a positive figure to be able to not necessarily look up to, but even if they do look up to you,
Sure.
you share some common interests, you talk a little bit, and they move on with their day, and that can just make it that much better. But seeing you as a powerful man in general
Yeah.
is helpful for a lot of kids for
One
sure.
of the kids asked me, why do I always sit with like the special ed student? Like, he made a comment, why don't you sit with like the cooler students? I was like, explain to me what cool means to you and what makes you cool compared to these individuals. They may have, you know, some some issues that they were probably born with. Doesn't make them bad people. That's just how God blessed them. But they too also have a testimony. They too also have they still have a purpose in this life. And I've always been more attached to special needs students for some reason. I don't know why. I guess it's because I've seen so much trash in my lifetime, in my short lifetime, that whenever I see someone in need of assistance, in need of help, I always gravitate toward that individual, and I'm not afraid to be with the less popular crowd. That doesn't bother me. Actually, that's where I want to be, because a lot of those students are magnificent people. So.
Hey, I want to. I hate to do this, but I have to circle back a little bit. I was mobilized in DC during 2021 when we pulled out of Afghanistan. So I watched that whole thing pretty much when it was happening. But
I know where you're going with this.
being there, what is it, 4 times?
5.
Okay, so you being there 5 times and seeing that on full display, what kind of feelings were you going through at the time?
Honestly,
because I can tell you how I felt, but I wasn't there, so I can just imagine.
what I want to truly say is going to probably get me court-martial.
Okay.
But what I will say is, I was angry at the way the entire thing came about.
Yeah.
I felt as though Afghanistan was the way it went down was our modern day Vietnam.
Yeah.
It was nothing but deja vu all over again. The same picture that you saw during the Vietnam War, the evacuation, everything else. Exactly what happened during the very last few hours of the war in Afghanistan. We made a statement, and not a good one. As a country, we made a statement. One thing I would like to say to whoever is listening to this is, especially whoever served during that time, is you've done your best. You've done everything your country asked you to do. It is not your fault. Um, shame on our shame. The shame is on our policymaker. Um, they failed us. We didn't fail our country. We did the best we could. Um, but am I still angry till this day? Yes. Do I still want to duke it out with some of them? Absolutely. I want to just rip this somebody's spine, and I feel like the previous president just, man, didn't do us much justice. We we surrender to the enemy
Yeah.
after so much blood has been shed,
Yeah.
um, and 20 years was not for nothing. We've made a difference.
You think so?
We've made a difference. It's kind of hard to see. At first, I was kind of conflicted. I'm like, what the hell did we do all this for? We've made a difference.
In both Iraq and Afghanistan?
We've made a difference because we've made a difference to very few people, but the fact is we've made a difference because we give them a glimpse of what freedom looks like, something that they've never experienced before. Till this day now, you have these Christians, whether it's in Afghanistan or Iraq, that are being persecuted, but they're still fighting the good fight. You have these small groups that are rising against political violence, against retaliation, against. You have females that are refusing to wear the burqas because they understand that, hey, I was born a human being, not an animal, not a slave. Either you take me out, but I'm not going out without a fight. These are the people that we affected.
Yeah.
And I have to believe that it was for something. It wasn't all for nothing.
Right.
Because the moment that I believe I start to go down that rabbit hole, then I think that'll be the beginning of my own demise.
Sure.
And so
I understand.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Sure.
But to answer your question, yes, we did make a difference, but we it was painful to watch. Needless to say, it was painful to watch, and it was more painful to know that we lost 13 Americans during during that operation to get as many people we could out of there, and they shouldn't have died or gotten maimed the way they
right.
Others were injured. So that shouldn't have never happened. But like I say, it's shame on our politicians.
Yeah. Going back to your time as SWAT in Atlanta, what was that like?
So SWAT was actually fun. It was fun. What was not fun is having the majority of our most violent offenders were between the age of 13 and 17.
Oh, wow.
That was rough.
Okay.
Those were the most violent offenders that we had to
like
deal with.
kids that want to be in gangs or in gangs.
In gangs.
Okay.
Atlanta is a big city, and you have the flow of fentanyl, flow of different drugs, but fentanyl was the biggest thing.
Okay.
These kids, man, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. You cannot tell them anything. It's either their way or the highway. It's either life, you roll with us, or we're gonna die with our boots on, so to speak. So it was great, but it was also taxing. The reason why I ended up taking this job as here and kind of following my wife in her business because she's followed me all through these years, and it was my time to say, hey, honey, you need to do something for you too. That's your passion. You want to be a business owner. You want to do this. It's my time to follow you, not you following me. And also too, I started to get a little bit burnt out because our operational tempo was super high in Atlanta. I know the Red River Valley SWAT. They, good guys. They get pretty busy, but not nearly as busy as we were. Almost every other night, if not every day, we were on a call out.
Oh wow!
And some call outs can last 30 minutes. Most of them will last hours. So imagine having to come home late every day, not being able to put your kids to bed, not being able to kiss your wife goodnight. After it took a toll on my family again. It felt like, okay, I'm out of the military, but it seems like I was right back at it again, and I didn't want to put my family through all that again, and I had to make a decision. So when her and her cousin wanted to start the business or whatnot, I was like, hey, you know what?
Why did they pick Fargo?
So they have family already here.
Oh, okay.
But also too, they realized that there was not enough Mexican restaurant in the area at the time, so they kind of wanted to open more restaurant, and I believe they're working on open more restaurant here in the Fargo Moorhead area, as well as expanding to different state as well. So
when did you meet your wife? That was my question. I was looking to see if you had a ring on or something.
I generally typically don't wear a ring, but
I don't either.
Yeah,
I got you.
We met back in 2007.
Okay.
So yeah.
And when did you have your first kid?
We had our first kid like within just a few
right
months
away
after that.
Okay, so when you were leaving a family at home.
Yeah.
That's why I was like,
So-
okay. I was thinking maybe I don't know much about you. I didn't
Yeah.
know if you had a kid or a wife or
so
anything. So I was
It's like every time I would come home from deployment, I would give her a gift.
yeah.
Sorry for saying it like that, but you know how it goes.
Hell yeah.
It's like every deployment, hey honey, there's one cooking in the oven. So
That's crazy. Yeah.
You keep her too busy for Jody when you were gone.
yeah, well, that I tell you what, she didn't have no time for Jody. I tell you that. Oh man.
Wow.
So you made your way back here, and obviously it's quite a bit slower than Atlanta. What was your first thoughts when you got up here?
I enjoy it here a lot. So when I got here first time I got to Fargo was actually I visited Fargo in the spring of last year. Man, I loved it. Weather was great. It wasn't hot like Atlanta. I was like, there's no humidity. I don't have to be torn up by mosquitoes out here. Man, oh
Couple
man.
months later,
You're wrong.
3 months later, December 4th to be exact.
Yeah.
On the driving up here, we hit a snowstorm.
Oh, really?
And I was like, what in the Jesus am I doing here? And but the locals were saying, hey, once you get used to the cold, you're good after that.
Yeah.
I never got used to the cold because I don't have any hair on top of my head, so I'm always cold. But I honestly like Fargo much better than Atlanta. It's got everything that a bigger city has, just on a smaller scale, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then I feel like everybody knows everybody here. So it's like, it's like almost like that. It's like the Midwestern hospitality.
It is. It is. When they say it's community for sure.
Sure.
Like, every time I go out somewhere, I run into somebody I know. Like that's
Right.
weird to me, but
Yeah.
So you got your new post,
New post.
and you are the security
No, school resource officer.
school resources officer.
Right. For Cheyenne. So
Cheyenne.
I really love the staff there. The principal Salisbury on down. Great group of educators. Honestly, I would say I know there's been some issues the last couple weeks. But
Yeah, let's just talk about that. So I came from Cheyenne
Sure.
this last year, and I absolutely loved that school. I loved it. I loved the staff. I loved the
Staff is great.
kids.
Staff is great.
It was so, I always enjoyed going in there. Like I just felt so welcomed going in there. I never really heard of any big issues coming out of that school. But then it was like when I left, shit went to hell in the handbasket. But so yeah, it was weird because like this year it just seems like bam, 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 bam. Every other day there's something going on with either a former Cheyenne student or a current student. And so I think that fate definitely did put you in the right spot with that school. Because,
I would say so too.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm trying to clean the house right now. It's a great school. I have nothing but positive things to say about it. We do have certain individuals that are up to no good.
What do you think it is?
Cultural.
Okay.
It's a cultural issue.
From local kids, or are they not from around here?
Local kids.
Local kids?
Yeah. It's a cultural issue. And I think a lot of it probably stems from self-entitlement. Also to maybe that those kids don't probably have the right setting at home, maybe.
Yep.
I don't know, but I would say it's a cultural issue, because what I did find in Atlanta, working in Atlanta, is, and I don't want to rub anybody the wrong way, but the majority of the tribal kids are usually from the African American community. And what I find, specifically at Cheyenne High School too, the majority of the kids that misbehave, it's also kids from the African American community. And what
Do you think that common occurrence here is the lack of a father figure at home?
I think it's just not necessarily father figure, because some of these kids have both parents that were.
It's just cultural influence now.
It's
almost like you have to behave that way if you're in the minority groups.
Sure, and it shouldn't be that way.
Right.
I think it's two things. For me, it's two things. One, either the parents are working so much that they're not really involved as much at home, so they don't really see what their kids need or are involved in, because they try to provide a better life for the children, but also too, it's a double-edged sword. If you're not if you're not present at home, you don't know what your kids are doing after hours. Yeah. Based on the incident that happened, I can't talk too much about it because I don't know all the details. But what I do know is a lot of these kids were out in the wee hours of the day. Now, as a parent, as a dad, I would not allow any of my kids to be, to be outside their home past a certain time. Back in the days when we grew up, when the street light turns on, guess what? Your butt better be inside. And I think it's not just a cultural issue; it's also a this new age of cell phones and TikTok, and people want to embrace this gangster rap lifestyle or whatever like that. I've experienced that too to a certain degree when, as I was telling you, when I was younger, but. Sometimes it just takes someone to kind of, help you see the other side of that there is more to life than just that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that is not what is going to make young men and women to prosper. It's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's very odd that I'm half black, half white. You can't tell right now because of my beard, but so the main thing that I see, yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say he's probably gonna want to stab you.
Like the main thing that I see is everybody just wants to be able to fit in with a crowd, really, and be popular. Like that's what the goal is, and
that's the thing. Kids want to fit in.
Yeah,
and. Man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
What I find is these kids are craving for attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They're craving for attention in all the wrong area.
Exactly.
And guess what? There's always going to be that bigger fish out there that's going to lure them say, hey, come, I got something for you. All you gotta do is come be like me, and I got you. We can become friends. We can become a family, and they will start to brainwash these individuals. Whether it's an upperclassman, whether it's someone out in the community that see these kids hanging around with their little Ponzi or whatever, it's unfortunate, but it happens all the time.
It is.
And that is why it's important for us to, as parents, to be more present in these children's lives.
Yeah.
You know, but the school can only do but so much.
Yeah.
Parents have to get involved. You know, they have to get involved.
Yeah, which is,
You know?
I mean, it's too bad that the school doesn't have more like authority, I guess.
Yeah,
to-
these
to be able to
educators do a
something.
whole lot. People just, parents don't see it.
Yeah.
But they will complain all the time about these educators. But I never understood how educating kids was like up until recently.
Right.
These guys, they work long hours and they don't get paid very much.
Right.
You know, it's, you have to have a passion for children to be an educator. You really do. And I see firsthand what these folks do.
Yeah.
Like the educator at Cheyenne, they are a bunch of outstanding people, like hands down. And I'm not saying it because I'm there. I also went to
I
a
agree.
shadow another officer at West Fargo High.
Yeah.
Same thing. It tells me that they're actually doing their job.
Yep.
It's just that parents have to piggyback on what's being taught in school.
Yeah.
You know.
No,
So,
totally agree.
100%.
Is there any well-known gang affiliations that are around here?
not that I'm aware.
Okay.
At least
Or wannabe?
I want to say there's probably some wannabes out there, but I don't know it specifically. And then that's in all honesty, any names or anything. Now,
Yeah,
if we were in
okay.
Atlanta, I would stop dropping names in a heartbeat because it's wide open. Here, not so much. I wouldn't be if
It's all imitation.
it's all imitation. It's like the wannabes.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing like that is going to stick. Really, it's just the, like you say, the wannabes.
I've always analyzed it like coming from California, coming here and meeting other people from California, or like you get a lot of people from Texas and from Chicago and from like Minneapolis here. But the majority of the people acting up here, especially in the younger generations, it's because they came from there or their parents were from there, but they never lived it. And it's easy to play the part here because it doesn't exist here.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or they were afraid to do it where they lived, and now they're here and they identify it's not really here, so they can up the ante and kind of play the part a little bit more. But you can usually sniff them out to be completely, fraudulent and as they call wannabes.
They feel like because my siblings or my folks were part of that
Right.
that lifestyle, that makes me
That they can
one
inherit
of
it.
them. But it doesn't work
Yeah.
like that in reality.
Nah,
You know,
it's
You
not
don't-
something you can inherit.
right. No,
Yeah, no way.
you don't have no street cred. You're not gonna
Right.
have a teardrop.
Correct.
Just because your parent used to be part of that. That's not how that works.
No.
Yeah. What I don't understand is like, how are these kids getting guns? That's what I'm not understanding. Like,
I was actually curious. I wanted to ask it. I know that there's an investigation going.
I don't know anything about this incident that happened, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I just know that in town
It was
lately,
in the newspaper.
If
Yeah.
it was in the newspaper, so everybody knows it. The thing is, in all honesty, gentlemen, I don't know what I don't know
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it is not. I know it's an active investigation, but they also keeping a lid on everything because they're probably looking at different aspect of the investigation, trying to find out who got who from where,
Who's
what,
involved,
when, who's involved. Are there more people?
Yeah.
I don't know none of that. All I know is that the students that were part of this whole unfortunate incident, some of them are from our high school.
Yeah.
And or previous member of our high school. Like I said, I just hope that these kids can finally get their act right.
yeah,
I always tell the story that I know what it's like to be involved in a school shooting in Atlanta, and I think where's my phone? I can show you guys a video. We had a group of students that were part of a gang that ended up wanting to settle the score of another gang at one of our school, and we have those flock camera, those like the city camera that can read license plates and stuff like that. Well, what happened is one of the students had stolen a old lady's vehicle, went and did a hit, and that vehicle essentially was found on flock, and there was 4 students inside that car that went into a local high school, start shooting up the place. They both group ended up exchanging gunfire. One student got struck in the neck, and we were just not very far from the school. We actually heard the what was going on the radio. We responded, and let me show you guys this video. I was one of the first officers on scene, and I ended up hitting the car, and hold and behold, there were 4 students in there with all with guns. But that was in Atlanta. Let's see if I can.
That's absolutely wild.
Yeah.
It's I have the video here somewhere, but yeah, pitted the car. Essentially put the car. Here you go. So you guys can kind of watch that in. So you see how it feels like the Matrix.
Oh yeah.
It's actually the
wow.
camera, the flock camera.
Oh
actually reading all these license plates, and
that's
crazy. We're trying to box the vehicle in, but these students took a run for it in the parking lot.
Crazy. Let me watch that again.
Right before the vehicle got into the main road, I literally spun.
They're in the white vehicle.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's gonna ram them here.
And I just rammed it.
Boom.
That's just insane, though. Like,
and then we found multiple guns in that car, and all of them. And we also swabbed these students with their hand with like gunshot residue.
Yeah.
They all pop positive.
Damn.
But that's Atlanta, Fargo, West Fargo. As it's not the same here.
No.
Right.
It's all copycats.
I think with Fargo, and I don't really have a basis for this, but I just kind of gather that with the amount of gun freedom in North Dakota, and one of the bigger crimes we have here being robbery and breaking and entering and stuff like that, I think that's just it's easier for them to come by guns here if you're the type and you see guns out here so openly, and everyone and their mom and dad and grandpa has guns in their houses when they go to their friends' houses and whatnot. I mean, they're just getting stolen from people because they're so available, so readily available to these youngsters that want to be hard,
Yeah, I know a lot of people that keep guns in their vehicles, and you have a lot of vehicle break-ins here.
And garages and all that.
Break-ins. Just don't put your guns in your car or your garages, because that's the first place people will actually look to. People don't break into car just to get cash. They break into car.
They're not stealing car stereos no more.
To get There's no stereo cars anymore. To primarily get weapons.
They're looking for guns or something.
They're looking for guns, and once they get a gun, then
it's a wrap.
It's free game.
Yeah.
It's free game from there. So just don't put your stuff, your weapons in your. If you're a concealed carry guy, just conceal carry. You don't have to showboat unless you're on duty or something like that,
right.
or you coming back from work, like me, for example. But when I'm off duty, I conceal carry. You don't even know that I have something bulging. But people want to be tough.
Yeah.
So they want to pretend to be tough.
Yeah.
See, but that's the thing. That's where like downtown and stuff, where issues like that are happening. For what reason does somebody think it's a good idea? I'm about to shoot this guy. Like, I'm about to ruin my entire life right now. Let me do it over some dumb shit. Like, I just don't understand.
Impressionability is one of the biggest issues that the youth of today's generation has, bro. Like, they're all so impressionable. They all desire for these brownie points. You make stupid decisions in the heat of the moment when you're really trying to fake and show off, bro.
It just doesn't.
I've seen it so many times.
I like to be a 21-year-old.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, man,
one
it's
person
crazy.
See the other person want to do the same thing just to get the street credit.
Yeah.
But there's ramification from from
always.
that.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be a gangster until it's time to
gangster shit.
Gangster really go through.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Man, what an awesome story, man.
It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Seriously.
It was incredible listening to everything.
Yeah.
And I to the bottom of my heart, think that you should write a book.
Nah, not me. Thank you. I respectfully
Or I'll write it for you. You just tell me what your life events were. And,
I appreciate it, guys.
no, but it was an amazing story.
Yeah. It's always a good pod when we don't do much talking and we're just listening to someone tell their story and give their perspective. And I know that, and out of respect for you, I won't, call it that, but I know you don't see it as a success story, but rather a redemption story. And I think it goes right in line, man. The way you tell the story and the stuff you talk about, it just shows, in my opinion. And like I said, I'm from the Camp Pendleton area too, and I'm very familiar with Marines. And I think you carry all the attributes of a Marine in terms of what you would consider your life. Not so much a success story, but improvising, overcoming, and adapting is true fashion to what a Marine is built on. So, I respect you, man, and I appreciate what you've done for this country and the way you've put yourself out there. And my hat's off to you, brother. I appreciate you coming on the show and talking to us.
Thank you, guys. If I can say one last thing, though,
Absolutely.
is anybody that doesn't feel like they have a purpose in life and, they're looking for that sense of belonging, the military, man, has been good to me personally. As much as there's been, I mean, I went in the military during a time of conflict.
Yeah.
It's not always like that. There's been more pros and cons, and the pros most definitely outweighed the cons by billions. I would never trade my time in the military for anything in the world. Even knowing, experiencing some of those things that I've went through, anybody that wants to join, if they don't know what to do after high school or whatever, or even now, instead of flipping burgers somewhere, go join the Guard, go join somebody.
Go see Cody.
Yeah. Go see Jack.
Yeah.
Jack Newenhouse.
Yep.
Those guys are awesome, man. They'll set you up for success. The military is a tool, just like everything else. Just like college is a tool, the military is also a tool. I would never force anybody to, trying to persuade anybody to do something they don't want to do. But there is so much stuff that young men and women nowadays can learn, can learn from the military that they may not be able to learn somewhere else.
Correct.
The military to me is a one-stop shop in so many ways. Get your stuff, even if whether you do 4 years or 30 years or 20 years or what have you. The time that you serve now, as long as you're getting out honorably, you are set for life. You can use your Montgomery GI Bill. You can buy a house. You can at a very low percentage rate. You can go to college for free. If you don't use that money for college, guess who gets to take it? Your kids get to use that money for college for as long as you transfer them the benefits before you get out.
Yeah.
So that way your kids don't have to focus on going to school, going to work 2-3 jobs while they're in school. They can just focus solely on school. And if they want to work to make a couple of extra bucks, then that's on them. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, man, the military has been good to me. If I had to do it all over again, I wish I had a time capsule, a time machine. I would go back and probably go see you and sign up again, boss.
Yeah, we need you. We need you.
That's kind of like the last thing I wanted to say. And you build lasting relationship, and military will build you in order for you to become a man and a woman. Oftentimes people think, military, you're going to go do this and hurt people. It's not what it's designed for. We're here to protect. But the military is also there to make better citizen, better U.S. citizen. It helps mold young men and women. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah,
I can speak highly of any organization.
I'm a testament to it.
So absolutely.
I took a little longer than everybody else, but eventually I made my way.
Yep, and people change.
Yeah,
like if you're looking for a sense of belonging, go join the military. You're not gonna regret it. The grass is not always green nowhere where you're gonna go. Mm-hmm. It's not where you at. It's what you make. It's what you do where you are at that matters.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's basically the last thing I wanted to say. And but again, thank you guys. It's an honor to be here. Um, I don't like to talk about myself, but thank you.
I'm glad you did, though. Like I said, I'm glad you did. Love to bring you back on, talk about anything else other than yourself.
Sure.
We can talk about a lot of stuff that I want to ask you that doesn't pertain to you, but just
Sounds
your
good.
opinion.
Sure.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Like I said, hats off to you for the life you've lived. Thanks for being one of the exceptional human beings in general, and most importantly, specifically, thanks for being a badass American.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody else, man, we appreciate you guys checking us out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share the channel, tell your friends about us. Don't tell your friends about us. Doesn't really matter as long as you're talking about us. Peace.
Talk good, talk bad.
All that.